you cinema buffs out there? Nate here, bringing you another review. Now, this review is going to be a little bit different. Recently, we got a message on Twitter to cinema buffs from a production company that made a movie called People. And they asked us to review their movie. Their movie will be released at the beginning of May on iTunes. So we said, yeah, let's review this independent movie. So the director of this movie's name is Shane McGoy, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, and the budget's very small. It was only $65,000. So I knew nothing about this movie going into it. So I want to start off with some of the things I liked about it. First of all, I admire this movie alone. They made this movie, it is well shot, it is well lit, and you just have to admire somebody that wrote this movie and directed it and completed it. This is something I always can admire from filmmakers. Now I'm going to be a little bit easier on my critiques of this movie because it is an independent filmmaker and, you know, it's probably one of his first, I would say. It does look like one of the very, first attempts at making a feature-length film. It was shot only in 6 days. I found this out as well. So the production value of this movie was good, but when it comes to the acting, it wasn't. So this is 4 segments, and in each segment, it's just people talking to each other. Now, this is an idea that I think the director was trying to achieve here, is having, this is what real life is like. This is what people are like. They have conversations, but there is no structure to this movie whatsoever. There is no plot to this movie. And that bothered me a little bit. I was looking for some story arcs, and there weren't any. And another thing that I was a little upset by was that none of these characters were very likable. I've learned from personal experience writing unlikable characters, you don't want to hang out with somebody that's unlikable, let alone do you want to watch a bunch of them talk to each other. These little stories never went anywhere, and I was starting to get a little bored. If the content of the writing was a little more poignant, or if it was a little more clear in its direction, then I might have wanted to stay with it. When it came to the first story, the ending, there was a payoff, but it was kind of a grimy one. But as these stories continued, they didn't get any better for me, really, until the last story. Now this, structurally, is where this movie falters, is the last story should have been the very first story. The last story strictly concentrates on a conversation of the guy saying that movies should be more real, they should be about people, they should be talking, they shouldn't, it's calling itself out. It's saying that it doesn't need a story arc, this is what film should be, it's real, but film needs to be entertaining at the same time, and unfortunately this movie wasn't. I was really struggling to get through this. When it comes to the acting, once again, it's a low budget. I get that. You can't find the greatest actors in the world. There were some standouts. I would say about 30% of this acting was pretty solid. The other 70%, I would say, was not very believable. It was just a little over the top. If they are looking for people to be real, and this is what life is like, this is not how people act. Their personalities didn't match the dialogue they were speaking. They were using way too big of words for the type of people these guys are trying to portray, or these girls. So the filmmakers, and according to its IMDb page, has labeled this movie a comedy. I would not call this a comedy. I didn't laugh at all at this movie. It is trying to be clever, and there is a lot of satire in this movie. They are proving a lot of points, or at least trying to prove points on certain political issues, or sexual issues, or mental issues, things like that. There's all these things they're trying to say, and they never land on anything. The movie opens up with a small little caption that says, "This movie is meant to be taken in small doses." And that just strikes me in a weird way. A movie isn't a dosage. That would be an episode type of thing. And this is sort of episodes, but don't make a movie if it's in small doses. Also, the tagline for the film is, "None of this matters." And I think that sarcastic, backwards way of looking at this film would be funny if it actually did matter. Once again, the direction was fine. It was coherent direction, if not a lack of creativity. I would say most of the shots, most of the scenarios had probably a 3-camera setup where it's just like this setup and that setup and that setup, back and forth between people talking. There was never anything switched up or any type of angle that they wanted to get cool or creative with or anything like that. And I think they want to focus on the dialogue, but the dialogue wasn't entertaining enough to hold my attention. All right, so that's my thoughts on this little movie called People. So now it's time to put a score to it. If you can't already tell, I didn't really enjoy my time watching this movie. But I have to admire filmmakers. I do. This person wrote this, he made it, he got people together and he filmed this, and for something that's not with a studio behind it, feeding him money, I know that this was probably a passion project of his. But when it comes to strict content, I cannot give this movie a very high rating. I even wish there was one segment out of this movie where I was like, if you want to see it, just go to this point in the film and watch this segment. But other than that, you're good. There isn't even one that I would want to see out of it. So I'm going to give it a couple points just because of the fact that they made it. But all in all, I'm giving this movie a 2 out of 10.
Buff.
Alright, so that's my review for People. You know, we always want to watch these independent movies. We always want to see all sorts of different work because studying film is about studying all different types of film. So I did enjoy taking notes and figuring out what they did and didn't do right about this movie. So all in all, it was a really solid experience. If you want Cinema Buffs to review your movie or anything like that, please leave the notes below. And what did you guys think of People? If you see it or buy it on iTunes, let us know as well. Also, thanks for subscribing, liking, sharing. We appreciate all the support.